Whether you're a fan of the John Michael Montgomery original version or the famous cover done by All for One, the song I Swear has absolutely nothing to do with the biographical film about a Scotsman with Tourette's. And if you clicked on this video because of what happened at the BAFTAs, go to the very end of the video as I have provided some commentary. Diagnosed with Tourette's at 15 and targeted as insane by his peers, John Davidson struggled with a condition few had witnessed. Campaigning for better understanding and acceptance of the condition of Tourette's as an adult, he finds his life's purpose through strife and love. The stars Robert Aramayo, who you may recognize from Prime Video's Rings of Power, along with Maxine Peake, Peter Mullen, and Shirley Henderson. Now, the story is based on John Davidson's life, and it sheds light on a condition that still few really have an understanding of. Now, I also have Tourette's, so this was a poignant and sometimes piercing watch for me. I don't have the verbal tics. Mine are mainly muscular, along with an auditory tic, and also then some compulsive behaviors. The story begins at the end, when Davidson is older and being recognized for his influential work in Tourette awareness throughout the UK. And while the opening of this is hilarious, the movie transitions to Davidson's early teen years when his symptoms went in full bloom. Now, it may seem insensitive that I said the opening sequence is hilarious, especially because it involves a very inopportune outburst, but that's what the film excels at, merging amusing humor with awkward situations and painful interactions. Never was this film making fun of Davidson or his condition, but events are naturally laughable and the story doesn't shy away from those, just like it also doesn't evade the biting comments or isolating treatment that Davidson endured. The young actor who played the teen version, Scott Ellis Watson, delivers a brilliant performance. He showcases the appropriate level of horror, shame, and confusion that any young person who started developing movements and vocalizations that they couldn't control, especially at an age when kids are at their most cruel. And this was a tough thing for me to watch because it brought up all the emotions and experiences I felt as a kid, both from strangers, schoolmates, even my family. And just like with Davidson, there wasn't much awareness around this in the 80s, so it was much easier for others to assume the behaviors were to attract attention or to just cause a commotion. But as the film states in a certain sequence, who in their right minds would want to be sneered at, made fun of, mocked, and derided just to carry out some fake bit? While Watson shines as the young Davidson, the adult version we follow for the majority of the film is portrayed by Aramayo, and he is devastatingly right on point. He definitely balances the frustration, self-hatred, discouragement, and loneliness that most with Tourette's experience at some point, as well as showcasing the absolute desire to fit in, have friends, or find a partner. Aramayo is so convincing that I forgot he was acting as though he had Tourette's. And again, just to be clear, he's never making fun of the condition or Davidson. The sensitivity the film contains, it's heartwarming, even while it's crushing our hearts to show how the outside world treated him. The film equally focuses on the drama and the humor to create a well-rounded narrative that inspires and educates, as well as entertains. And a lot of that has to do with the supporting cast. Shirley Henderson plays Davidson's mom, and while the emotion I mainly felt towards her was disdain, I can also give understanding because of her ignorance on Tourette's. And this doesn't excuse the hard-hearted treatment which Henderson delivers without really ever raising her voice, but she's not a wholly despicable character either. But the two who really stand out as champions for Davidson are Maxine Peake and Peter Mullen. With Peake, she becomes a sort of surrogate mom, and the level of compassion and patience given to Davidson, it's immense. Peake fully embraces the understanding of a character who has nothing but empathy and concern, making her a mother figure that just about anyone would want in their corner. And then with Mullen, he plays a community center employee who eventually hires Davidson. And while there are some very funny and touching conversations that they share, a courtroom scene that allows Mullen a monologue could be used as the elevator pitch to inform others on how the auditory and muscular tics of somebody with Tourette's appear uncontrollably, and how those have no bearing on the thoughts or integrity of the person delivering the words. Several times through this, I teared up, some out of sadness or painful memories, others at just the beauty and respect that is clearly evident through the storytelling. The film doesn't overstay its welcome, and even though it is right at 2 hours, the pacing keeps the story moving efficiently through the experiences. And this also doesn't come across as moralizing or preachy. The story doesn't work to shame those who have little or no knowledge of the condition, but instead educates through entertainment, melding the seriousness of the topic with the laughable moments that are just inherently present. And it's clear why Robert Aramayo won the Best Actor award at the BAFTAs for his performance. He took a condition and character that could have become a punchline and brought out the soul of the person, highlighting all the negative impressions others have, while also demonstrating the resolve and selflessness Davidson employed when bringing awareness to the very visible condition. This is certainly one of the best films of 2025, and although most probably would have to wait until now, 2026, to watch it, it's going to be vying for one of the best of the year. There's no sex or nudity, almost nonstop profanity, and then a lot of violence. I give I Swear 5 out of 5 couches. And it's not because I also have Tourette's. This is truly a brilliant film, story, presentation, and acting achievement, and it really should be seen by everyone. So have you seen this yet? If so, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now, as promised, I have a bit of commentary on what went down at this year's BAFTAs. There's a lot of rage bait online right now, mostly from people who are ignorant of what actually happened or who have zero context for what Tourette's is. If you aren't aware of the hubbub of the awards show, John Davidson was in attendance because the film about him was nominated for awards. Now, when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo got on stage to present, Davidson shouted some things that included the N-word. Now, this is a horrible thing, and it should never have happened. And while I'm not excusing Davidson's uncontrollable outbursts, there are some factors that need to be talked about surrounding the entire thing. First, it can both be true that saying the N-word, whether or not it's directed at two black actors, is wrong, hurtful, and inexcusable, while it can also be true that the one saying the horrendous phrase had zero control over the words or actions coming out of their mouth. Now, the BBC effed up royally by not bleeping or muting this outburst. And not to save face for Davidson or themselves, but because they did censor other bits throughout the broadcast. The show was also on delay, so there's no reason why that should have been left in. And again, because other portions were just removed or muted. And then according to sources who were inside the auditorium for the awards show, there were ongoing multiple announcements that horrifyingly pointed out that attendees may hear profane outbursts throughout the evening because Davidson was in attendance. Okay, yuck, first of all, for that insensitivity. I mean, they just should have had him come up on the stage at the beginning and explain himself what could happen. It's not like he's not done that in countless groups as he educates and brings awareness. Okay, but then back to the point I was making, these announcements, they weren't shown within much of the broadcast, if at all, allowing all of the rage baiters online to instantly call foul on Davidson without the slightest bit of real context for what occurred. So to reiterate, it's horrific and terrible that a racial slur was shouted at all. It continues to harm and then insult generations of people. And the BBC should have censored the entirety of the show using the same standards, not to negate that something happened, but to prevent further harm and trauma to those who weren't inside the room where it was said. And Davidson, while he did say the appalling phrases, he needs to be given grace due to his public condition that causes outbursts that don't reflect his mindsets or personality. It's also ironic that the very thing his film was working to educate on and bring light to is being a bit overshadowed for the exact content it was addressing. So if you're one of those online rage baiters, you can just simply jog on. Leave the discussion to the grown-ups. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.